Dark and Darker is the unforgiving hardcore fantasy PvP PvE adventure. Use your cunningness to travel the dungeon on your own or band together with your friends to run lobbies down and get cracked off of treasure and loot. I'm Zach, I main cleric with my friend Joe on Rogue and Jordan on Fighter. That's the gameplay you are watching right now. We played Alpha Test 1 and 2 and we got into the top 50 plus in our classes, from top 500 down to top 300 and then top 50. Played the test 1 and 2, the one that was in October and September, I believe. I streamed the second playtest with about 24 hours worth of footage, and I'm going to be streaming the future playtest too. You can watch my VODs while they're still up, and then I won't put them to be deleted, but I do have them downloaded. Maybe I'll upload the full thing onto YouTube. If you clicked on this video, it's because you're either just starting out the game and you want to see some, some tips and tricks, a little bit of a tutorial, or maybe you have already played the game a couple times, but since the servers are currently offline, you just kind of want to watch something and maybe possibly learn something new. I got timestamps in the descriptions because I'm splitting up this video around. So if you want to skip around, feel free to check that out. What is Dark and Darker? Dark and Darker is an extraction type dungeon crawler similar to games like Escape from Tarkov, The Cycle, Marauders, and others. The basic gameplay loop of the game is that you drop into a dungeon with your friends or solo with other players, so a little bit like a battle royale. You fight the monsters and the players while gathering treasure, gathering loot, and you are being pushed by a ring, a swarm, which is also similar to battle royales. Your goal is essentially to extract or go deeper into the dungeon. You can extract with your gear and loot through a blue portal that will spawn throughout the game, and especially more frequently at the end. Same for red portals. These will let you go into the next floor of the dungeon, which has more loot, more monsters, tougher battles, and bosses. It is important to note that if you die in the game, if you die in the dungeon, you lose your items. So the only way to prevent that is to escape through the blue portal. If you die, have your friend resurrect you with your soul at an altar, or have a cleric on your team to cast the resurrection spell. The basics of the combat is melee based. There is some ranged weapons such as bows and crossbows, and some magic spells. You have magic classes, and then you have some magic abilities depending on the class you are playing. Swinging weapons can collide with the environment, which will essentially cancel out your damage. You have to be very wary of the terrain, the length of your weapons, the size of them, and such things. Spells are mostly projectile based, but a couple of them are lock-on. Blocking requires positioning. You can use a shield. There's different types. You kind of want to crouch around, you want to raise your head up and down to essentially shift your model. If you look down, your character will kind of bend, so you can use a crouching and a mix of moving very fast to essentially dodge attacks. It's important to know that the first floor that you appear on is actually the second floor. Once you go through the red portal, you are now at floor 3. For the playtest, we only have floor 2 and 3. Floor 1 is not yet implemented. Floor 1 will have 32 players, and then after that you go to floor 2, which will have 16, and then floor 3, which I don't remember what the maximum amount of players is, but I've only ran into one team in floor 3. Dark and Darker classes, stats, and rarities. Dark and Darker currently has 6 playable classes. They go as follows. The Fighter is the all-rounder that can equip most weapons and sprint. Very gear dependent. I recommend a 2-handed weapon and a bow to maximize on close and far range combat. The Classic Wizard that can cast powerful spells and wield magic weapons. They have low physical damage and health, but are very sneaky with their haste and invisibility spells. They are solo viable, they're fun to play. The Ranger is currently possibly the most OP class at the moment. It's a very hot topic in the community due to their nasty bow damage, their tracking, their traps, and their campfire. The only issue with the Rangers, they're limited melee options, but they do get to equip a spear, which can be quite deadly. The Barbarian is your basic tank class with extreme health, mastery at the two-handed weapons. They're slow, but paired with a Cleric and Wizard to grant essentially Bless, Haste, and Invisibility makes a deadly, deadly Barbarian. The Cleric is your support. The support of a great team comp, you always need a support, especially if you're playing threes. They can cast small and large heals, protection spells, buffs, and resurrect allies. They might not look like they can hold out in a fight on their own, but you can pick from light and heavy armor, and even two-handed weapons, and of course, a mace and shield. They can self-sustain in fights when caught alone. If your buddies are going to play Cleric, I recommend that you pick up the Cleric. If you want to win practically every 3v3 fight, you need a Cleric. The last available class is the Sneaky Rogue, with the ability to go in stealth and deal tons of bonus damage. The Rogue is quick and quiet, perfect for a solo class, and can work great in a team comp, essentially as a class damage carry. They definitely get 1 to 2 tapped. Our friend Joe, I've seen it happen multiple times, but as a Cleric, you just try to keep them healed up as much as possible, but they do tons of damage. More classes are to be added. I've heard about the Druid and Bard. The Bard is practically confirmed to be in the game, possibly for next playtest even. They will use musical instruments, but not much has been said. And that's going to be the class that I'm going to main, essentially. Now for the stats, it's important to know that some of these are still being implemented and can change at any time. You've got the Strength stat, which raises base health and increased physical damage bonus. The Agility, which raises base move speed, including action, attack, equipping, and interaction speed. Very, very strong stat. Willpower raises spell power, buff and curse duration, and increases base magic resistance. Mage and Cleric should not skip on this stat. Resourcefulness and Knowledge are currently half implemented. Resourcefulness is essentially the item installation speed and backpack slots. You'd rather just pick up Agility. Knowledge will make your spells be casted faster, and in the future it will increase your identification speed and raise your maximum amount of spells. Cleric and Wizard, it is handy to have a little bit of knowledge, but focus on willpower. Gear rarity goes as follows: gray, white, blue, purple, yellow, gold. Yellow and gold is kind of hard to differentiate sometimes, it might be at the start. Your yellow is very, very bright items. They're your legendary. But then you have like these unique items, which are kind of like a palish yellow, more like a gold tint. These got really, really good stats and very, very rare. You can find them in gold chest and bosses. Mob types. There are 12 types of monsters on floor 2 and 14 monsters in floor 3. I've noticed that there's also a different tiered monster. Essentially, it's like a red form. The red form is stronger than the non-red form mob. So we got the common skeleton sword, which has the 2 variants. We have the common skeleton sword and shield, which also has 2 variants. We got the skeleton archer. We got the mummy that has a red variant. It's got 2. And the zombie also has the 2 variants, a non-red and a red variant. We got the spiders that are very common. You have to break the jar, which is essentially the spider nest, or else they will keep spawning. We got the mimic chest, which can be found randomly while opening up a chest. They can be very dangerous. Just keep your distance while smacking them. And we got the last common monster, which is the dragonflies. They spit out a poison, not much damage, but the poison can stack, so take them out with range. For the stronger mobs, essentially elite mobs, we have the Skeleton Mage, which can cast shields on themselves and other monsters. They throw a nasty fireball also. I recommend fighting them around a corner to hide whenever they're casting fireball. The Wraith is kind of like your first mini-boss. It's got a wide swing, it's got a dash, it's got lots of HP, but you can kite it and defeat it by just running in circles, around a pillar, around a chest, or anything that you can find. The Skeleton Elite is the newly added mini-boss, a little bit like the Wraith. They don't have that much HP, honestly, but he does have a large sword and very large shield. They got like a sword combo. It's like a 3 or 4 hit combo, I believe. What I've noticed, it's a little bit buggy. It doesn't seem to always hit properly, which is just kind of weird. I have found a golden or a skull key on the Skeleton Elite with the sword and shield. I don't know how common it is to find it, but we did find it on that body. In floor 3, there is the two other monsters that haven't gone over, and including more red variants of the monsters. So more red zombies, more red mummies, more red skeletons. These mobs can 1 to 2 tap you, so be careful. We have the Batmans and the dogs, the man bats. The man bats essentially can knock you around when they do damage. You want to fight them one-on-one. Don't fight them in groups. Don't aggro other monsters. You really would just want to defeat them first, preferably with range. So having a ranger or having a fighter is very recommended, or just having a wizard also. We got the dogs. The dogs, they're very, very easy. They can do a decent amount of damage, and they can be a little bit quick, but if you defeat them with a range, it's very easy. 2 to 3 arrows to the head, and they're dealt with. The remaining enemies are bosses, but I'll cover that in a different video. Here are the images of the maps. These maps are in rotation randomly, so just watch out whenever you load into a new match, you might have a different map. So your strategy on where to go might change. Basic tips for the game. Some of these you might already know, some of these might be new to you. A common mistake is taking damage from PvE mobs when you don't have to, especially at low level in gear. Aggro one monster at a time, hit them in the head, kite backwards, hit them in the head, kite backwards, take your time. You don't need to take 2 or 3 hits. You can see in the video sometimes I do it. That's just because as a cleric I have a lot of heals and stuff like that. If you got the bandages to spare, go for it, but just be careful when you're solo and when you are weaker. The game already starts you at floor 2, so it's already difficult for you. Aiming high and low using your crouching and essentially your model of your character to dodge attacks is a nice little gimmick that you can use. You can use this to kite and position. Same thing for your shield. So if you see somebody holding a high block, you can just crouch and stab them in the stomach or swing them in the stomach. Another tip is to keep some doors open and some of them closed depending on your location and ring position. Essentially, you always want to have an escape route, but you don't want people to sneak up on you either. So be wary of your doors. Always have a route to escape, essentially. Turning off lights can help you sneak around, but be careful that the potions on your belt do glow. So even though you think you're in complete darkness, people can see your potions. Try to use ranged weapons to kill monsters. Having a ranger fighter in the team is very useful, like I said earlier. Watch out for wall spikes. Look at your map to see the triangles marked. Those indicate the spikes. You can also see the hole where the spike comes out of the wall if you just pay attention when you're walking around near hallways and walls. Crouching in the middle of the hallway prevents you from taking any spike damage from both the left and right side. There's also the floor spikes that can be a real pain to deal with. They can be jumped over, and I believe you can even crouch jump over them. If you take a little bit of damage from them, just always carry some bandages and heal up. Keep your eyes out for levers and hidden holes behind jars and barrels. These can lead to different tunnels, different treasure. Before starting a PvP battle with another dungeon explorer, pop a protection portal. Always keep one on your hotkey on your belt. Have it ready. Always pop them whenever you see your protection potion expire. Either you took some damage, just make some distance, pop a potion. Always use them. They're very, very handy. If it's too dark, throw a torch on the ground, or you can even activate pressure plates using torches. When you are playing in a group, try to give each other distinctive rules, such as the person to lockpick, the person to open up chests since they can open quickly, somebody that can open doors, again if they open very fast. Give yourself a role for a tank, a range, a DPS, a support, somebody that knows the map or where to go, like a route leader. Like essentially rogues can open up doors very quickly, and same with portals. Clerics, on the other hand, they open things really, really slowly. Essentially, I'm always the one scouting, looking at the big rooms, and I'm letting our rogue open up every chest. He calls out the loot. Hey, I got something for cleric. I go pick it up, and then I go back scanning or like popping mobs while he's just opening up the chest. If you're solo, don't fight if you want to keep your gear. Essentially, the game is geared towards 3 players. It's geared towards group play. If you're a solo player, don't expect to be able to extract every time. Just don't fight if you don't want to lose your gear. Just don't drop. That's essentially it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have anything, any comments, any tips that you want me to add, feel free to leave in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys for another one, and feel free to catch me on Twitch too. Ciao, ciao.